So you think the two of us can handle this? Hold it down?
Yeah, we can argue. And shit, you don't have to be the host. I'm just saying.
Argue. I'm gonna be the host, but All right, welcome to Tampa Bay Cop Talk. That's Andrew, and I'm Darius, and we're running a little 4-4-2, two up top, two-man strike force today.
Hell yeah!
I guess
I'm waving to those listening to the audio. I'm waving.
He's waving for everyone. Hey. So I guess that means that I'm doing the hold-up play. I'm doing all the dirty work, and then Andrew, you're going to finish top bins. So don't miss your chances.
I definitely don't know how to do that in real life. So that's fine by me.
Well, we've got we're not going to go through too much. It's going to be pretty simple. Like, we're going to go off of two topics really, but looking back to the weekend against Aston Villa and then looking ahead to Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday right before the Real Madrid game, part 2. Liverpool going into that one down 3-1. But Anfield, it's usually a good thing, but we know what the season has been. But before we get to that, Andrew, there was a curse lifted. Liverpool scored goal. Not just a goal, but goals. Multiple at Anfield. Multiple. And won a match at Anfield for the first time since literally before Christmas. So it's been a rough few months at Anfield for Liverpool. Everyone, including Everton, including a bunch of 10-year-olds you throw out there, everyone's been getting results against Liverpool at Anfield. But they right the ship with a 2-1 win against Aston Villa, a game where Liverpool pretty dominant in the first half, going trailing 1-0 at the half. There's a VAR decision. The second half wasn't very pretty, even though Liverpool do get it level. And then finally, Trent Alexander-Arnold saves Liverpool's keister at the end. So, when you look at that game, just that 90 minutes, once it goes off, final gun goes off, and Liverpool has the 3 points, how are you feeling?
It kind of saved the season for me in all reality, because you can argue you going into the second leg tomorrow at Anfield against Madrid, and you're thinking, well, there's an outside shot. Of course, there's a shot. Like, mathematically speaking, there's a shot. It's a game of football. You follow the rules. We score more goals, we win, typically, right?
Right.
So, but in reality, though, the bookmakers don't have us favored for this, right? So, if we were to lose that match against Villa, we're really, almost mathematically out of trying to get top 4. And so when I say save the season, like, save the hopes into the next week.
Right.
And that's all we can go. That old adage from Jordan Henderson is like, we have to take this game by game. But more importantly, to sum it up, it's just elation. It was pandemonium when I was watching it. That goal goes in. I was a little rowdy. I was at home. The dog got upset. She thought something was going on. She ran into the other room. She got a little scared because I was running around, fist pumping, everything, cursing. It was a good time. So for me, and I think I can speak for all fans. It was like, thank God, finally.
Yes.
Because it was just very frustrating how, as you mentioned, we were so good in the first half. We should have scored like 3. A lot of missed opportunities, a lot of like just the final, thing. And we played, I thought, very, very well apart from the goal. And, when we equalized, commentator said like something like, oh, well, even I think Villa fans wouldn't begrudge that. Like, that's what Liverpool deserves. And I think you can extend that to the final result. Like, Liverpool definitely deserved to win. Unfortunately, it can't, or fortunately, whatever way you want to look at it, it just came down to the wire. And what a goal by Trent. And I know the media will want to talk about him and, Southgate.
In front of Gareth Southgate, of course.
Yeah, ain't nobody care about ain't nobody care about no Southgate. Get the hell out of here with that shit. I don't want to hear about him. I don't. Now, that being said, if Trent cares and that makes him play out of his skin, then by all means, baby, care.
Oh, but come on. Trent Trent was not thinking about Gareth Southgate. What was his first action? It wasn't to look into the stands because Southgate was there at Anfield. It wasn't to go and point to the camera. First thing he does, kiss his badge. I mean, we know what Trent is about. We know what motivates.
No, 1,000% Scouts are through and through. No, I get all that. But I'm just saying, like, if that's going through his mind, before whatever the case is, baby, just keep doing you. You just keep swimming. Just like Dory says, just keep swimming, just keep doing it.
You mentioned what a let off it
You
was. I
go
mean, I was watching with the guys over in Orlando on a little
right.
vacation, got to watch with them, and it was a huge let off. Everyone is just like, finally, freaking
Yeah.
finally, because they were knocking on the door all match. Even within that sequence, you have Shaqiri sending the ball to Tiago nearly with a wonderful volley.
Yeah, Martinez
Great
with the
save by Martinez.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
it
well
goes to
thought through.
Trent, and you almost feel like, man, is the chance? Was that it? And then Trent puts in a worldie. It was just a let off. It just kind of felt like,
Oh yeah,
yes,
and
sigh
then
of relief.
exactly, not to mention, I think this is more important to fans than actual elite athletes. But the whole revenge thing of like, they
Sure,
did beat us 7-2 and
sure.
so on. So that was nice, at least for me personally, to see that win as well.
I
But
was I was
again,
coming away like, damn, is this going to be a moral victory after 7-2? It was 1-1, so that's an improvement. Like,
yeah, yeah. But at the end of the day, though, more importantly, it keeps us in the race for the top four. Rogers looks like he's having his annual bottle job going on. Looks like the beginnings of that happening with their loss on the weekend as well, and they have a tough schedule. So, we just got to keep on keeping on. But this is not what this show is about.
well, we can get to the rest of the top four in that picture in a little bit, but I mean, sticking with the game, let's look at that first half. When in the first half, you see chances abound for Liverpool. You have an easy one for Salah where he's through, puts it wide. Firmino, not long after,
Oh
has an
yeah,
opportunity he drags in and he can't really curl it. Jota has a good header in the middle of the penalty area after a corner. He can't get it down. And then, of course, you have VAR coming in. So,
right.
what was to you the story of the first half? Was it just VAR stole the show, or was it no, they played well enough but should have scored a goal? Because for me, I was thinking even VAR, regardless, Liverpool should have been up going into the half.
No, I agree with you 1,000%. And I have to, Bobby's been given a lot of slack in the group chat, I think, and in online on Twitter. I'm trying to.
Mm-hmm.
Am I having false memories? Anyway, he's been getting a lot of slack online and so on. But he was playing. It was almost vintage from Bobby. Almost
Overall
vintage.
game, he did play well.
Yeah, overall game. So that was good to see. And I just want to say, like, how is Jota like 5'9", 5'10"?
It's so
But
damn
like he's
dominant
still
in the
like,
air.
yeah, white boy can jump. You know what I'm saying? Like, god damn. Anyway, there's that. Bobby's having a little field day. Yeah, so we were very close to scoring. We didn't. We should have 1,000%. My only concern for the match is, Mane's chance at the end. I think grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. Would have been nice to have a 3-1 scoreline, sure. But at the end of the day, like I'm not an athlete, so I don't know. Does that affect his confidence or whatever? Like, because he's been struggling for form,
Yeah.
So however, at the same time, like I always say, like, yo, he was in the right place. Like
Well,
he's
not just
making
that, but the fact that he knows it, he probably would have. I'm assuming he would have known Jota was there on his outside. But instead of just laying it off and saying, you do the business, he wanted to take it on. So that
yeah,
at least
because I
tells me
think
his
he's trying to get
confidence
it.
is still at a point where it's like, I'm still
But
firing. Like, I'm still going
but
to try
yeah,
to
but
take it.
my thing is he took the shot for his confidence, because if we're winning, if we're tied, he passes it, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, so he does it for his confidence. I'm just concerned that affects his confidence going in against
Well, because he
Real
didn't score.
Madrid. Yeah, because he didn't score. But I always say, like, nah, F that noise. You were in the right place in the right time. Like you had the chance. Like you're getting in the right positions.
Mhm.
That's the word I'm looking for. You're
Yeah.
getting in the right damn position. So like you just keep on swimming, baby. You'll be fine.
Mhm.
Eventually, you gonna Michael Phelps it. You know what I'm saying?
Get a
So
stroke back.
yeah, I don't know. He won gold medals. He did something. But my point is, so that would be my only concern. And yeah, man. And then obviously the other concern, David, I think brought this up in our group chat, is like, going forward, like long term, in terms of his confidence in this player and like what we do with him. Keita didn't show up, didn't appear. After his abysmal showing in the first half of the first leg of against Real Madrid. No one, I don't think many people are talking about that. Maybe it's a non-issue. Maybe it's just like, give him rest for the next match, or
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily anything to do with anything other than
The flow of the
going
game.
and figuring out what the lineup against Real Madrid is going to be on. I mean, I think we'll get to our projected lineups, but I don't think that Keita is even in the picture for starting that match after you saw the first half against Real Madrid. We didn't see him start Thiago. We didn't see Thiago start either at the weekend or against Real Madrid, which means he should be plenty good to go. Genie was given, a little bit of a break as well. I don't think Milner's going to go again, so that would sound like
Yeah.
a Fabinho, Wijnaldum, and Thiago midfield, or it could be a 4-2-3-1. I mean, we'll see what they do. But yeah, for Naby Keita, it just hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. We've seen really good stretches from him. You think of the 2018-19 season, particularly in the middle of the season, toward the back half of that season, and then the back half of last season in the restart, he was awesome. But to have 10 good games out of a 38-game season, that's clearly not what Liverpool got him for. So it is interesting to see. I mean, what do you think that Liverpool should be doing with Naby Keita moving forward? Just how should they approach the player? How should they handle him
I
as an
can't
asset?
I can't think that far ahead right
No?
now. I mean, I got Madrid tomorrow,
Yeah, fair enough.
and then we'll see at the end of the season. I mean, let's assume there's how many games left in the Premier League? 7, 6, 5,
Seven left in the
and
Prem.
shit.
So
Let's
at
assume
least
maybe
8
he
games of
plays
football
5.
left.
Let's assume he plays 5 of those and bosses it. I don't know if he does that, then that might change my mind from what I'm thinking now. So I'll just wait until inevitably we do, the season recap. But if you want my answer now, I would say I wouldn't be surprised if we got rid of him.
Well, what would you do if you're in that position? If you're making the decision on Keita?
Too many you know me. Too many variables. Like,
You'd be thinking all day.
Yeah, no. I think obviously if we get the right price for him, I think he'd go, and I wouldn't be upset. And it's sad because he, it's not as like to the degree of Sturridge in terms of his injuries and so on, but it's kind of one of those things where it is what it is. And if we can get a price now, I think that would be exciting because we can't wait too longer. Although, how old is he? 25?
He's 26, I believe. But with Naby Keita, I look at him as.
Let's assume he's 25. Assume he's 25. There's still an argument to be had for example, in another year, another 2 years, he becomes good. Look at, as an example, John Stones has been in Manchester City since the damn Stone Age, no pun intended. And at the beginning, he had some bright spots. Then he's been gone like for years, it seems like. And then now this season he's made himself a linchpin of that defensive renaissance of that City team. So there's argument to be had that could happen with Keita as well. He could come good, so to speak.
We've seen enough from him. Yeah,
I'm not worried about that right now. What I'm worried about is tomorrow, and let's just get in the top 4. Talk to me later. Ask me later.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think you need to make a decision on Keita at this point. I mean, we've seen. I think it would be fair to treat him the same way you would treat really like any of the players who have been injured this season. But you do have enough to show that he has not lived up to the billing. But if you get 40 or 50 million out of him,
sure.
Like in return, if that's what a club wants to pay you for him, sure, use that to go get someone else. But otherwise, he's a really damn good player to have if he's like a squad player.
Yeah, and
you're not relying on him, but if he's a squad player, you could do a lot worse.
Sure, 1,000%. And one thing I forgot to say is that another thing that is we got to keep in mind with Keita is that there are other players that are probably above him in the pecking order of the transfer list, so to speak. So I'm looking at your Divock Origis, I'm looking at your Shakiris, and so on and so forth.
Hell, I would even put Ox ahead of Keita. Exactly, someone you're looking to offload.
Exactly. So we're not gonna. I would imagine the priority would be to offload these kind of players as opposed to a Keita. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't think we entertain offers for Keita before we, for example, offload one of the the priorities. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Especially without knowing that we have a replacement. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm sure they have all these plans. They're back. Michael Edwards has proved to be Bruce Wayne, so he's got everything on lockdown. He got backup plans to backup plans. I'm sure he's got it. And Edwards we trust. But like I said, I'm not worried about it. I'm just more pumped for tomorrow. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Keita, by the way, he turned 26 in February. So still a
He's still 25.
fairly young player. So as we take kind of like wrapping up on Aston Villa, one last thing I did want to get to real quick. VAR. I don't want to spend too much time on it because we've been doing this all season. But it was another close decision, VAR, with Diogo Jota being ruled to be offside. Looked like he was just about level. There's questions of what part are you even measuring from? Was it from his shadow? Was it actually from his bicep? And he was ruled to be offside, and that's what led to what would have been the equalizer that Bobby Firmino scored. But when you look at VAR and what it was in that moment and just what it's been on the season, do you feel like VAR is worth it, or would you just blow it up if you were?
No, so I have a contrary. Is that even a word? Opinion to you guys and to I think most of like fandom. So yeah, no, I'm all about VAR, 1000%.
Really? All about VAR.
I'm all about it. I'm all about it. Do I like
Hmm.
some of the decisions? Absolutely not. Obviously, I think motherfuckers need training. Like it's clear, like they had like one lecture as opposed to like a semester worth of classes. Basically, it's clear like that. But let me ask you this though. For example, today I was watching the Champions League, right?
Mhm.
I was watching Paris Saint PSG and Bayern,
Yeah.
PSG, go through, and there was a VAR decision. Mbappe scored a goal. There was a VAR decision, right? And to me, like with my naked eye, I thought he was offsides because I think Boateng he pushed up to make him offsides.
Yeah, Boateng. Yeah, I saw that when we were just talking about Boateng
My
steps
point
up
is,
as
though,
the ball is about to get played through.
exactly.
Right.
But here's the thing: because it was Europe, they didn't show the lines. They didn't do all that nonsense. And to be fair, it was quicker, which I guess that's what fans want. But for me, I'm like, as a viewer, and then maybe as a person in the stadium, because you remember, like for example, Anfield doesn't have a jumbotron, right? Like not like the NFL where you can see the replay and
Right.
be it, right? I'm sure PS Parc des Princes has it, but as a viewer and as a fan of the stadium, I would want to see all that nonsense. I would want to see because I want, and also it's also good for the internet culture of like I want to see the memes, baby. Because then I want the receipts. I want the receipts that this decision was wrong or decision was right, so that when a United fan gives me bullshit about that was offside, and then I'm like, nah, here's a receipt, here's a picture.
Well, you want it to be 100% un.
No. What I'm
You
trying
can't
to say,
argue.
no. What I'm trying to say is basically, as a viewer, I did not enjoy the experience of not seeing the lines.
Oh, so you're saying you would prefer the way they do it in the EPL?
Yeah, because then I'm like,
Okay.
whether it's wrong or right, at least I can see their process, and then I can bitch and complain if they're wrong, and then be like, hell yeah, they're right. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas that one, I'm like, I'm pretty sure. Like as I said, from my eye test, I'm like, oh yeah, no, that's offsides. But it's also, it's one thing to be, let's say, 70% sure. It's one thing to be like, nah, that's 100%. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
As a viewer, as a consumer of the product, I'm talking about as a consumer.
You want the call to be right if you have the option. Of course.
Yeah, 1000%. But it's also interesting because this can evolve into another thing that we can talk about later or in another episode. Is that what they do in other sports? This can evolve into, like, for example, hearing the ref's conversation, or when the ref goes onto the side of the screen like he does in the Champions League. The ref goes to the sideline, sees it on the screen, on the Segway screen. I call it the Segway screen. It looks like that.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to hear their back and forth, right? They do that, I think, in rugby, and I want to say cricket or something.
Well, I was going to say in American sports, it happens in just about everything except for baseball, where you'll get some form of an explanation from the official. American football, obviously, they hit the microphone set and they go over to loudspeakers. In basketball, they'll go up to the announcers. In baseball, you don't really get that. But even in hockey, they'll talk over the loudspeakers. So you'll hear why they made the decision they made. So I think that level of transparency is a very good thing to have.
Yeah,
but I also think with VAR, like one thing that we got to kind of remember is like that whole thing about clear and obvious. That's where they keep screwing themselves, because when they show the pictures and show the lines, I mean, Andrew, can you make the argument that every single time it's 100% they got it right and there's no question?
No, that's the point. That's
clear and obvious that they made a mistake, because that's where I'm like, it's never clear and obvious. It's always a Rorschach blot test every time.
Maybe, but that being said, but the process is not wrong, really.
Right.
the
The
process,
technology, I don't even think is
the
bad.
technology, the implementation, like the processes in which they go about doing things,
Yeah.
I don't think is wrong. It's maybe the ruling. Like, for example, the ruling is like something to do with your shoulder or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
like if it's like the cut of your bicep, like
Yeah,
that's
yeah. So
offside.
I think the problems with VAR is not the technology and it's not the processes. At least I don't think. I'm sure there's a room for improvement there, in which they go about doing things. I think it's more of the training, and then the ruling, the training of the officials using the computers, the human element, and then the rules itself. That being said, to counter argue my whole argument would be, look, from the PSG game, like I did like how quick they were. They were just like, oh yeah, done. Okay. Yeah, we got it. And the game moved on rather quickly. If that was in the Premier League, it probably would have needed another 30 to 45 seconds.
All right, let me ask
You
it
know?
this way. Let me ask it this way. If you just had to just kind of a blanket statement for either, but would you pick either get the call right or spirit of the game? Spirit of the game being like keep it moving, keep it quick, whatever the call on the field is, keep it going, or get the call right no matter how long it takes, using VAR, drawing all kinds of lines. Which would you prefer?
No, I'll get a call right.
All right. I mean, I'm kind of there with you. I'm just
If you giving it
yeah,
me black and white like that, I want the call right, because at the end of the day, I remember the time when Liverpool would lose out on a goal, or obviously it went for us sometimes too. I remember that
sure.
game a few years ago. We played against West Ham. Adam Lallana or Milner scored a goal, and the pass was offsides. It was when Pellegrini was manager of West Ham. That went for us, right? There's some stuff that went against us, and that made me more upset when it went against us than it did.
Oh,
Then it made me happy when it went for us.
yeah,
Does
of
that make sense?
course.
Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm tired of that. Like, it's not. It makes no sense to go a step backwards. Like, we have to move forward as a football fandom and society and so on. So we just got to figure it out. There's bumps in the road, but like I always say with most things, like it looks like this British Federation, the FA, needs to like go on a field trip, go to Germany, go to Poland, go to Spain, wherever you need to go to, figure out how they do it, write some notes, make a PowerPoint presentation, do some classes.
Honestly, I'm like y'all
Like,
ain't
it's
even gotta
not.
leave. Y'all ain't even gotta leave the city. Just wait until the Jaguars or whoever the hell is coming over for the NFL. Watch an NFL game, see how their officials handle replay, because that is worlds better than what they're currently
Yeah, no,
doing with VAR.
1,000%. Yeah, it goes.
Just do
Yeah,
that. Just do that.
yeah. There's no, but I don't know what it is, British arrogance or we could talk. That's another topic. But
That's a long
point,
topic too.
summary: I'm all about VAR. There's some things I don't like, but I'm all about it. We can't go backwards. Let's go forward. Whether it's forward with VAR, whether it's training, or whether it's with the Arsene Wenger rule proposal. Um, Maybe link in the show notes for that proposal. but things like this, I'm all about that, because at the end of the day, let me ask you this: as a fan, do you want to lose in a Champions League semifinal on an away goal that would have been overturned had VAR been in there? I know that's a super specific example,
It's very
but
specific, but of
the
course.
point is, like, that's the stakes. That's the stakes, though. Like, it's one thing to lose to to draw with Brighton in a Premier League match without VAR, but it's another thing to not win those money, not advance to the next round and lose your club potential, millions of pounds because of if VAR isn't there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
No, I agree with you. You kind of can't go back on VAR, but like they said in the $6 million Man, we have the technology, so you might as well implement it. Might as well use it. All
Right.
right. So as we take a look to what's to come, Real Madrid, Liverpool at Anfield. Second leg of this tie. First one went to the way of Real Madrid. As we kind of take a look at that first part of it, Andrew, I mean, that was really the only game I feel like, other than maybe the second game against Manchester City, but I almost feel like that's one of the only games this season where Liverpool was just outplayed. Liverpool looked the worst of the two teams, no question, and deserved to lose by a margin. That's really not something we've seen too often this season. I mean, what was your takeaway from that Real Madrid game?
Yeah, it was frustrating. I was in Vegas during the game, so shout out to Liverpool fans in Vegas. Good time, good bar, good food, good atmosphere. Quite a turnout for a noon match. But anyway, um No, from talking about the boys here. Yeah, the first half it reminded me a lot of Napoli away a couple years ago, where it was just an awful
Couldn't connect a
performance.
pass.
Genie, for as one of my friends in Poland would say, he forgot how to football. Like that's the whole. It seemed like the whole team forgot how to football. They just forgot.
It was Naby lad. It was all them, man.
Everybody just was like, oh, it's like they had two left feet. It was nuts. And now, mind you, give credit to Kroos and his cruise and his beautiful pass to Junior or whatever, to split Phillips. Phillips is caught and blah blah blah, and Trent, this and that happens.
Yeah.
But the second goal is more frustrating because it's such like not that I know. I hate that Trent error is, I guess, not his fault, but it's something that would happen on our Sunday League team, Darius.
I mean, honestly, it was like it was
a I expect
perfect setup. Like you put it on a platter for them.
Yeah.
So to see a ball where it's like, okay, maybe it's a dangerous ball. Maybe if you don't intervene, it's going to turn into something. But instead of it being, wow, that was a dangerous ball, it's literally, wow, you put it on a platter for them. Great assist on that.
But my point to that is that it was like a kind of a freak of nature at that, as you expected that level. Like I said, you expect that kind of error on a Sunday League team.
Or someone who's never played before.
As an example, or someone who has. It doesn't matter. It happens. But and mind you, and then what's so frustrating about that second goal is because if that doesn't go in, the tie is 2-1.
Right.
It's not that big deal. It's 2-1. 2-1 is the most dangerous scoreline in football, they say. So then you're looking at a very much different proposition. You know what I'm saying? Especially without the fans and so on. But now that I'm not saying it's all his fault or whatever, but I'm just saying it might not be as bad as we think it is from a defensive perspective. Now, that said, we still need to find the back of the net. You know what I mean? So, from that game, though, obviously the first half was terrible. The second half, for that 15-minute spell in the beginning of the second half, I think that's the recipe. Klopp and that backroom staff are going to have to kind of put that shit in a bottle, and give it out to all the boys and have them drink it before halftime, before kickoff. You know what I mean? Because that 15-minute spell is what allows us to be even within a shot of this tie, because obviously 3-0 would be insurmountable without fans, I think.
3-0 against Barcelona, obviously that felt a little different than even this 3-1, because that 3-0 against Barcelona, that was a game where you watch it and it's like, yeah, it was 3, but they didn't really play that poorly. Like this 3-1 is a little different because it's like, oh wow, you're kind of lucky that it was only 2 that you fell by. But you do kind of come away with it. I think you're right. You come away with it saying, all right, that was the worst we could play over 70 minutes, 80 minutes outside of really that 15-minute stretch. That's probably the worst that you have in you if you're Liverpool. And you kept it within a couple. That does give you an opportunity if you're looking at it from a positive standpoint, where if you go and play a good match, all you need is a 2-0 and you do get through. You don't have to go and beat them by 3. You would go on away goals if you got that 2-0. But True. Andrew, it does feel like a tall task, but it doesn't feel impossible at the same time, especially as we kind of see, you mentioned it today in the group chat, that there's another defender who has gone down for Real Madrid. Sergio Ramos was already out with the calf injury he's been dealing with all month, and he also has COVID. Rafael Varane has COVID. You have another player for Real Madrid who's dealing with injury. And by the way, they just played a very intense match at the weekend in El Clásico. So it's not like Real Madrid is coming in flying. They are coming in a little gimpy. Do you think that fatigue or anything of that effect could potentially help Liverpool, especially against a team they're going to be playing on the back foot? They're protecting.
1,000%. Here's the thing, Darius. I fucking hope so. Like, I'm not an athlete. Like, I don't know how that shit works, but like, god damn it, they better be fucking tired. I want them you
want them exhausted, leggy.
I want them to just have woken up from a siesta.
They didn't get any activation. Yeah, no leg rubs.
No, not all that BS. Like, they just And also, important to point out too that
Yeah.
Vasquez is the guy who's out there, their
Mhm.
right back. He set up the goal over the weekend in El Clásico. So from that perspective, and you look at Mane, like, look, Mane hasn't been playing well the last few months, last X number of weeks. Maybe he smells blood. Hopefully, he turns into a shark. And he smells that blood, and he comes to eat. You know what I'm saying? On that left hand side. So that one can only dream and hope. But from that perspective, like you're right. This is not Real Madrid at their peak. However, experience is, what's the phrase, class is,
Yeah,
form is temporary,
it's
class is permanent.
temporary, class is permanent. Yep.
Yeah, whatever nonsense. Like, look, they have class players, Modric, Cruz, Benzema. These players can do anything, right? So that being said, though, like I said earlier, you take that Trent mistake out, which is a howler by any stretch of imagination. This is a much different uh, tie, right? So I don't think it's that bad. I'm just curious to whether like Klopp does some dumb shit like drastic, like if he pulls a Pep. Go with me here. So Pep over the last couple of years in the Champions League specifically tries to it's almost like he overthinks it. He knows a big exam is coming up, a big test is coming up, finals week or whatever. Instead of studying the way he's been studying all year to get that A, he's like, oh, finals week, I got to do something different. I got to change my routine. And he changes some tactics or whatever nonsense, right? I'm just a little worried that maybe, for example, Klopp puts Fabinho back in center defense. And I think that obviously, if he does it and we win, he's a genius, of course.
Right.
But I'm just worried that if he does it, it's a mistake, right? So
Yeah.
I hope he doesn't do that. And I think we have obviously an opportunity here. And look, it's important to realize this is that, mind you, I want them to come out of the gates just like we did in the second half. Like the first 15 minutes, we need to just kill them the first 15 minutes. Let them know they're in for a fight, right? It's set the tempo, all those cliches, right? But it's also important to know that we don't actually necessarily need to score early. We need to score first. But would it be better if
That's where I disagree, though. That's where I disagree. I would say you do need to score early because we've seen too many matches this season where Liverpool dominate. And I don't mean just like, oh, they had a couple of shots here. No. Dominate the first 20 minutes. Don't get a goal. Other team grows in the game, nick a goal. We've seen that story way too many times this season.
You're right.
So I think they actually do need that early goal. I think they need it. I'm just
saying, I agree with you in one respect, but in another respect, I'm just saying that I think that we can also feel our way out in this game. Like, so if it's 0-0 at halftime, we get a goal in the 55th minute.
Yeah.
It's not over. And then you have 40 minutes, edge of your seat thriller. You're talking balls to the wall, Fast and Furious. It's going to be nuts. And that's, as a neutral fan, I imagine all the neutrals are hoping for something like that. Because as you said, we can win 2-0. We win 3-1. We go to penalties or extra time, whatever it is. Look, we got this. We have an opportunity. It's just, I'm just curious how he's going to set up.
Yeah.
I don't know what are your thoughts on that? How you think who's starting?
Yeah, we'll get to the lineup in a second, but I do want to just kind of like stick on this. Like, what is the mentality if it's you? Because we're kind of like talking around it, but do you go as hard as you can right away, or do you wait and make a change to kind of bring in a little extra later in the game and try to take advantage of tired legs? Being down 2 goals, what's your thought? Because I'm thinking you probably try to see if you can score early, go as hard as you can, but have an ace up your sleeve. Like, have Mane on the bench or have Jota on the bench or something like that. Have something to go to off the bench. I mean, that's kind of what I think, but what do you think in that regard?
Oh, no, that's a very good point. From the bench, because, bringing on,
like, have something else that you can do later in the game.
Great.
Right.
Yeah. And obviously, football is nothing without Origi, and he's injured, so he's not going to be on the bench. Right. So, no, you're right. I see what you're saying. I honestly don't think it matters, though, because the mentality has to be the same. In the first 15 minutes, you have to come out of the gate like you did in the second half. Sure. It just has to. We have to, because, look, remember Barcelona, right? It was very much like that. And then we got the goal in the 7th minute or whatever it was, right?
We got the goal early, but then it was a lull. It wasn't until, the 55th minute when Gini got his first?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, that's exactly what I'm saying, where you can see yourself Like you can feel yourself in the game, feel your way through it, because they're gonna have chances. It's ludicrous to think that we're gonna have 80% possession.
Of
They're
course.
gonna have one
Yeah.
shot on target.
Yeah.
Some nonsense like this, right? So
Real are going to
that's
play.
what I'm
Like
saying.
they're not
if
going to
we
sit
don't-
back. They're going
Yeah,
to
yeah.
play.
Exactly. Yeah, and if we don't score in the first 15 minutes, that's okay. And that's when we need to see it out until halftime, I think, kind of thing, where like
Okay.
we got to make sure that we don't concede until we need to go to halftime without conceding. That's kind of thing. I think it's very important that it's the first 15, 20 minutes, and then we'll go from there. It's interesting you talk about, I've been drinking a little bit, so part of me wants to start all four of them. But then at the same time, like I like your point. Cheers, man. I like your point about bringing, for example, Mane or Jota off the bench.
Right.
And I just don't know. Obviously, I don't get paid the big
I
bucks,
can
but
I can
part of
make
me
an
want-
argument for either. I can make an argument for either because going
Yeah,
4-2-3-1
exactly, that's what I'm saying.
and going with Bobby in the 10, Mo up front, and then Jota and Mane on your wings in the 4-2-3-1. I like the way that looks, especially going against a back line that's going to be kind of new to each other. They haven't played together too much this season. Don't have their captain. Don't have their other best center back. So maybe you could take advantage of that. But I can also sit here and tell you, like, I kind of like the idea of going 4-3-3, controlling more of the ball, and just running them ragged with someone like Mane on the left, going at a new right back. And then finally, when you get to the 60th minute, you put on a fresh Diogo Jota who takes advantage of tired legs. Like, I can make the argument for either. So I think it's going to be really tough for Klopp to make that decision of which way he wants to play it. I don't envy that decision because I think there's a good case for either. All right, so
and that's what's so exciting. And remember the days when we knew the lineup, like
because everyone was healthy and you could just go pencil them in.
No, but like a couple years ago, where it was like that 11 all the time, and everyone and their mother's uncle like knew who was playing.
Oh, but then other team couldn't stop it anyway. It didn't matter.
Yeah, exactly my point. But from a fan perspective, there's all this anxiety of like, what's the lineup going to be like? And I'm looking forward to it as well. But you're right. I mean, I just don't. I honestly, as a fan, like I don't give a fuck. I've said this on the show before. I don't care who the cast is. I just know we're gonna support them either way.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta trust Klopp and the boys to it's out of my control basically. So I gotta trust them, Klopp and them and the men in the backroom staff.
Yeah.
Sorry, not boys, men to figure it all out. And here's the thing, because I mean, we've only played them twice, but like Zidane and Klopp, like you would say that Zidane is like kryptonite. I mean, it's only 2 games. There's not much of a big sample size.
He's gotten 2-3-1 results against Klopp, sure.
Yeah. And come on, Klopp, do it. Do you got to figure it
Get
out.
Get a 3-1 the other way. Like
the third time is a charm. Is the third time is a charm, right? Whatever they say. So that's what I'm hoping for. But yeah, but back on the lineup question though.
Yeah.
If I'm just thinking that
let's go with lineups. Like let's hear what you're thinking.
Too important. This game is almost like, obviously it's dumb for me to say this, but it's win or go home, right? So for me, it's almost like, and because of the inhibitions are lowered, I think you have to start all 4 of them.
Okay.
I think you have to. I think it'd be crazy not to. For example, I think it'd be crazy not to start Bobby because of the way he played on the weekend. Mind you, it's Aston Villa. Excuse me, I get all that, but that was some. Bobby came back. You know what I'm saying? And then Jota, he's responsible to the lead up that goal that Salah had in the first leg, right? So. And then, mind you, he can jump as high as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar apparently. So maybe we'll get a header somehow, with him. I think you start all 4. Fuck it, I'm gonna put my foot in the sand or my stake in the ground, whatever you say.
All right, let's get your lineup. Let's hear it. What's your starting 11?
Right.
Andrew.
All right,
go.
Okay, so the back 5 picked itself. No, it doesn't.
Well, it doesn't. It really doesn't, actually.
It's Alisson. It's Andy, cousin from another mother. I don't know how that works. Kabak. It's Phillips. It's Trent. I think it's Fab. I think it's Thiago. I can't believe this. I think it's Bobby. I think it's Salah, Mane, and Jota.
Okay, so where do you go with your attackers? Or where do you go with your front 4? How do you line them?
Yeah, Salah on the right, Mane on the left, Jota in the middle, Bobby and Thiago are, Roman,
Okay.
and then obviously Fab in the six. However, as much as I just said that lineup, that's kind of like what I said earlier about being a Pep. To me, that's a Pep lineup. To me, that's kind of like tinkering a little bit and doing a
Yeah, but we
little.
have also seen that lineup this season. Not with Thiago in there. He was the one, and Fabinho was playing center back, but that's how they lined up against Manchester City the first time around.
Oh,
And
that's
it
fine.
worked out pretty well. You got the 1-1 draw at the Etihad. But yes, obviously, you haven't seen that too much this season, but mostly due to injury. Because coming into the year, that's what we kind of thought we would see a little bit more of a Fabinho and Thiago double pivot. We just haven't seen it because injuries. So for me, I'm thinking, yes, that's if I go for a 2-3-1, that's exactly how I'm lining up. Except I would have Mo up front and then Jota on the left, Mane on the right. Um, but I think I'm going to go 4-3-3 with the OGs. So I'm going with the same back five, but then I'm going Fabinho in the six, Gini on the left, Thiago on the right, and then Mane on the left, Firmino up front, and Mo on the right. I'm going that way because I'm thinking with the way that Mane is playing right now, while he's not been at his best, he can still run someone into the ground. So I'm expecting that he should be able to command a lot of attention from Real Madrid's back line, especially since they don't have all their best defenders. And he's just going to run them ragged. Like, I'm just going to tell him, ball's coming your way. You and Robbo link up, and I want you to run those guys into the ground
Dude, homie
on
needs to
30,
drop a
40
shoulder.
minutes, switch it, start getting more to Mo, start getting more to
Yeah, yeah.
Firmino, and let them take advantage. And then finally, we get to the hour mark, second half. Jota, we're asking you to come on and straight away score goals. That's kind of the way I'm playing it if I'm making the lineup for Wednesday's game.
Right. I mean, and Mane, it's so interesting because like we play better when he takes on people. When he
Mm-hmm.
drops a shoulder and he runs towards the byline, he does
Yeah.
some craziness. But like he's almost like I feel like Klopp needs to punch him in the face. He needs to be angry if he getting all that feel. Like,
well, but the thing is, the
you know
Sadio
what I'm
has only been down when it comes to goal scoring and goal contributions. His all around play has been there. He's actually defended pretty decently this year, but linking play, like even if you look at that Aston Villa game, there's times where he was playing the false nine and it looked pretty good. Like if he drops back and then goes into the midfield, picks up the ball, goes for a long run, it's still there. He could still do everything else. It's just he's not putting the ball in the back of the net, which is
Yeah.
obviously what you want from him right now. But he's doing so much else that it's like, I'm good with starting him. I understand there are going to be plenty of people that say bench him and have Jota
Right.
start, but I think there's a
Go with
lot of
experience,
value
I
in
think.
bringing Jota in because we know he's in good form, bringing him in against a tired defense. And that's all I'm looking at really is I'd like my chances having him fresh and having their back line ran ragged because they were trying to deal with Sadio Mane, who even though he's not scoring goals is still running circles around everyone else.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I your that 4-3-3 lineup is probably what we're gonna see. And I wouldn't be upset about that either. I think again, I was trying to allude to his experience, and that's okay. And your point of bringing Jota on in X minute, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Either way, he's gonna be a genius, or we gonna bitch and complain about something.
Now, he's going to be a
Yeah,
genius if they win and they get the result and go through. He's going to be an idiot if anything else happens. That's how that goes.
essentially, that's how humans
That's
work
how,
nowadays.
that's how this
either,
analysis goes.
Yeah, he's either a 10. It's either a 10 best movie ever or worst movie ever.
Exactly.
Like that's essentially it. It can't just be
That's
like
it. There's no room for nuance in that.
But
All right.
yeah, I don't know. I'm just now I'm getting hype. I'm getting nervous. I might have to watch Barcelona highlights. Shout out to Genie behind me. Yeah, Jesus, I don't even know how I'm gonna work tomorrow.
Man.
You know what? To get the adrenaline pumping, I'm thinking I might ride my bicycle to the bar. What do you think?
Ooh.
Get some suns.
Get some exercise. Get that
Get some
vitamin D.
exercise before the heart. Get some pumped up. Get some like pre-match music on the way.
Yeah.
Because it's like a 20-minute ride for me. I don't know. It could be fun. Could be fun.
All right.
I don't know. I'm pumped. Are you pumped?
Oh, I'm pumped. I'm pumped.
So how we gonna win this thing, or what you think?
All right, you want to go score predictions? All right,
Yeah.
let's go score predictions. I'm feeling 2-0. I am, because I do think that the way that Liverpool are going to set up, I got Fabinho in the 6, so I'm not messing around with any ideas of him playing at center back. And I think they're going to do a better job going, because again, going with my lineup, you have Firmino in the number 9 position as a false 9, sure, but out of possession, that means he's going to be doing the pressing. And as good as Jota is because he's quick, Firmino understands that role better. And one thing that we saw with the first goal, Cruz lays it on to Vinicius, it was there because no one pressed. Keita, Jota, and Mane were all looking at each other like, yo, who's supposed to be picking this dude up? And then Cruz puts in that perfect pass. So I'm thinking that Liverpool will look a little bit more resolute, and then dealing with the back line of Real Madrid plus Casemiro, don't forget, who is a world-class number 6 in his own right. I think they can handle it to get a couple of goals. So I'm thinking 2-0 is the way to go.
My God, I hope you're right. That'd be amazing.
That would be fantastic, obviously.
That would be just, oh my God. Like I would, not that we walk into work anymore considering this pandemic, but if we did go walk into work, I'd walk into work like,
oh, it'd be the Vince McMahon, just like
come at me, bro. just come at me.
Or the Conor McGregor just like swagging in, just like, oh yeah.
Walk into your local grocery store like you own the place.
Mask on though.
Yeah, of course, mask on, ladies and gentlemen. I just think that's too much to ask against this.
It's a lot to ask. It's a hell of a lot to ask.
I mean, we don't have Van Dijk, we don't have a Gomez, we don't have, you know what I mean? Like for Philip and Philip, like I know
Phillips
him
and
on a first
Kaba.
name basis.
Yeah.
Philip and Ozan, I think that's too much to ask. I mean, it might be tough. So, I mean, I could be an a-hole and just say, oh, I think we win the game, but we don't go through. But that's lame. Ain't nobody here for that. Ain't nobody here to hear that shit. Don't nobody want to hear that shit. Even if it's true. Nobody want to hear that. We're going to win. It's going to be 3-1. We're going to go to extra time. Allison's going to do the business. We're going in on penalties. That's
wait. Who scores the winner?
Oh, fuck. I don't know. Don't ask me that.
I was going to ask you that question regardless if you had it.
Thiago's going to win it for us. Thiago and penalties, baby. I don't know.
Thiago. Thiago Alcantara.
The wicked seed, Alcantara.
All right, better question. Who do you have as your difference maker? Who's man of the match?
Honestly, it has to be Trent. It has to be from the standpoint from both sides of the pitch, because they're going to be attacking his side.
Vinicius will be on his side.
Yeah. They're going to be attacking his side like most teams do, and he's got to put in a performance. Him and Phillips got to put in a performance. Or I don't even know. Is Phillips on his side? I can't even remember.
Yeah, Phillips is on the right, and then Kabak is on the left.
It don't matter, but it's got to be Trent. It's got to be Trent from that reason alone, because we can't give up 2 goals as an example, right? That's just nonsensical. So yeah, no, it's got to be him, and then because we're also a terrible team when he is shit going forward too, so it has to be him. Now, mind you, if Bobby, if Salah scores 3 goals, I mean, obviously he's a man of the match, and then who gives a shit?
Yeah.
But no, it's got to be him. He's got to play better defensively. I know that sounds asinine because now I'm going to sound like a YouTube, a Twitter person and say, oh, he's a right back. Defense is number 1 important. No, that's not. No, baby, this ain't your daddy's right back. You know what I'm saying? Like his priorities going forward. That being said,
and let's be fair to Trent. People want to act like he's the worst defender on the planet. He's not. He's grown as a defender.
But here's the thing though. Him he's going to be the only Scouser in this team. I'm assuming. I don't think Curtis Jones is starting. So it's important. I think it's important. He'll know walking onto that field, walking onto the pitch, what's up. And I just think not to put pressure on him and say he's got to be Gerard, but that's essentially what he's got to do, because Hendo's not out there, right? So we're missing some type of leader. So he doesn't have to be the leader in a vocal sense. There are different styles of leadership. Kids, pick up a book, read a book. There are different styles of leadership, and one aspect of it is through your actions, not necessarily through your words. So hopefully he he takes that opportunity and oh man, he's just it's I can't wait. I'm stoked.
Man.
Oh,
All
I'm
right.
so
Mo bags a brace, second goal to put them through. He does the celebration where he holds his shoulder to taunt Sergio Ramos, who's up in the stands watching with his little hipster haircut.
oh my god, if he did that
Let's
shit,
go.
I'd lose my mind. I'd lose my mind.
Let's go.
That would be amazing.
Oh man. All right, you're pumped for this. I'm pumped for this, man. Hopefully we're talking about this next week, and we're talking about how Liverpool are on to the semis to face Chelsea. Well, it's been real, Andrew. He's Andrew.
I'm Andrew, guys. Waving.
I'm Darius. And up the Reds. Hopefully, Liverpool going on to the semis. Catch you guys next time.